inspire, empower. Grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch. No, real women don't. 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 Real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. What's going on, ladies? How you doing? Okay, yes, I'm feeling good. I'm excited. We're here another day, and I'm going to bring a controversial conversation I had on Facebook here to the podcast. I guess you could say I'm going to tone it down for lack of a better way to put it, but I want to have a conversation around fear. Most of you are heart-centered, passionate entrepreneurs, and this thing that you do, there's a very strong community-based attachment to it. You want to be a world changer. You're speaking out against, topics that are taboo or whatever it is. For instance, you guys that listen to the podcast a couple of weeks ago, there was a woman on here who's into basically womb healing and Reiki and helping people connect to their spirit baby. And she talked about how her mother just kind of outright asked her if she was into devil worship. Some of you that listen to Terry, the financial coach, she's had to say some very controversial things about the inadequacies of the church to educate their members, specifically in the Black community, to do something with that other 90% because they're always hollering about the 10% for the tithe, but not talking about true money management with the 90%. And then we know that Ms. Bilingual Brown Babies is only teaching Black people how to speak Spanish because ain't nobody checking on us and we don't have the same opportunities in our schools to learn language and so on and so forth. And these are all businesses. These women are making money doing what they do, but it requires them to speak up. Some of them may be accused of, like I said, being demonic, being spiritually off, being racist, which, that always trips me out when people accuse Black people of being racist because we can't be. But that's another story. We can discriminate, we can judge, but anywho, but what about you? What is your fear? Because most entrepreneurs, at the end of the day, you have to look at a problem and say, oh, this is a really gross situation. And in order to change it, somebody needs to speak up. And some of the greatest organizations, nonprofit institutions, are doing what they're filling a void and they're filling a gap. But what a lot of you don't want to do is you don't want to say it the way it is and say, you know what? I'm doing this because the government is failing. I'm doing this because the community is failing, because the pastors are failing, because the church is failing. I'm doing this because the way that the community is set up, mothers are failing, fathers are failing, or whatever. And specifically in the Black community, a lot of times we're not speaking up
and we're not willing to have the hardcore conversations when we start our businesses because we're kind of afraid of how will this impact me making my money more than how we're concerned about how our impact will change the world. And you can absolutely do both. And in my conversation on Facebook, I was talking about many of these issues that we have to address. Our ancestors were willing to die in order to change it. And they also were doing what they were doing not because of the immediate results that they would get right now, but because of the long term results that would come down the line. And so, my question for you is what are you afraid of? And in order for you to break generational curses and to bring new things, you have to be willing to speak up. And fear is a disservice to your business when you're afraid to come out full throttle. Because how am I, for instance, like the woman that does the finances? If she wants to come to me and she wants to start talking to me from a Christian perspective about how to handle my money, and I've been going to church and I'm sitting here saying I paid my tithes, but I'm still in financial turmoil and I'm upset because I'm seeing a bunch of single mamas catching a bus, and the pastor's driving a nice car. Ain't nobody trying to say he can't have one, but we got these tall cathedral ceilings and these funky windows and state of the art pews, but we don't have transportation for the sister that's got multiple kids and is fighting and struggling to get to church. Then you know what I'm saying, it's going to look upside down. And if you're going to tell me that you're here to serve me but you're still trying to defend the pastor, ain't nobody say you had to put him down, or you trying to defend the church structure, I'm not going to trust you. I'm hoping that this makes sense. But if you say, listen, I'm not trying to tear the church down, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't contribute to causes that you believe in, but I'm here to say, listen, I understand growing up you weren't taught what to do with money, and then when you get into the church and you're going through financial turmoil, well, guess what? They're not really doing you a service either, because they're only telling you about contributing to them, but they're not making sure that you're okay and understanding how to truly handle your finances. And that's what I'm there for. That hits and pierces someone's heart completely different. And at the end of the day, isn't it just niching? Niching is saying I'm working with a specific audience so that when I speak, I have a very clear message and people know that I'm there to help them. But if you don't say it very plainly, then people can't get on board with the movement, not as deeply. And so those of you that have been following me, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm extending my platform and saying, you know what, I've got to open up the door for more Black women to be the forefront, for it to be understood that they're the experts. And so instead of us, being a little, getting a little sprinkle here and there on other people's summit, hell, I'm gonna host them so often and keep on going and making a platform for us to be there. And so guess what? That means that all of these women that keep on coming to me, they're coming to me and they're saying, I have the same vision. I really want to stand up and I want to, provide opportunities to more Black women, blah, 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 blah. They're on board. They feel the conviction. And so my question for you is, what are you afraid of? You can't say that you've got this big thing you're supposed to do, but then you don't speak up. There was this one woman I knew who was always talking about stuff that was going on in her country and how things needed to change. And then I'm like, well, why won't you stand up and say something? Yeah, well, it's just always been this way and such and such and such. And I'm like, okay, I didn't waste my time, too often just constantly, hammering in. If your country is caught up in a whole bunch of, Asian dogma, and you're not willing to speak up and say something, then how you going to cause a movement? And how are you going to cause people to do anything? Because what you really need to be saying was, I'm afraid of the reprimand. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me if I do this. And that's what a lot of you all need to be saying. You're afraid of the friends you're going to lose. You're afraid of the social status that will disappear. You are afraid of becoming a target because of the things that you will say. And specifically in the Black community, a lot of you are afraid of dying. of being, because think about it, all of our great leaders who speak up about controversial issues, they end up, unlawfully thrown in jail, they get assassinated, and so just cold blood murdered, you know what I'm saying? And so I know for me, and as many of you are following me, if you're listening to my messaging, I'm just speaking as it's becoming more clear. It wasn't as clear for me 3 years ago what I would be doing. I was fighting really hard to make sure that I was being safe by being careful, because I do love all of humanity. But there are some things inside of me that get a little bit more turned on when it's specifically related to my community. And when I think about a vision God showed me many, many years ago, I knew that there was some work that I was going to do that was going to piss some people off. Whether that means I get thrown in Facebook jail, or they completely delete my account. They say I can't be on their platform anymore because my conversation keeps getting more and more controversial. That can't be a concern of mine. So in the beginning, this was just about going on my life journey and figuring out who I was supposed to be. Then I kind of thought it was just about, coaching people through life. But then entrepreneurs started coming to me, and my tribe let me know, you're going to have to be the business coach for us. You're going to have to help us with some fundamentals for getting our business off the ground, with our mindset, our strategy, and our sales. And then as I kept on going and doing this, I started realizing that a lot of opportunities were missing for Black women in a way that hit my heart and hit my soul. And so some of you, this is you're learning as you're going. And the vision is becoming more clear. No matter how clear it was when you started, oh, it is so much more clear now. And I'm going to challenge you to continue to embrace it. And see, this is why God won't show you the full picture. Because if he showed you the full picture, you think you're scared now. You'd be scared shitless, and you would not even move. How many of you aren't really moving, or you're half-ass moving? Trust me, there's a direct correlation with your ability to obtain clients and to collaborate, and your inability to speak up because of the fears that you're facing. So fear is your disservice to your business. What's your fear? What are you afraid of? Who are you afraid of losing? What are you afraid of happening to you? Is it as simple as you kind of rocking the boat in some of your favorite organizations, or feeling like your mom will look at you weird? Or does it lead all the way up to the fear of death? Well, all I know is this: whether you're a Christian or not, there is a scripture in the Bible, and it says that God did not give us a spirit of fear. It says that he gave us a spirit of power and of a sound mind, and so and love. And any of you that have read the book by Napoleon Hill, when he was outwitting the devil, his conversation with the devil said that one of his primary tactics that he used on people was fear of poverty, fear of death, fear of so many things. And so you need to ask yourself, what's your fear? What's holding you back? So that's what I want you to ponder today. I'm going to leave that there, because hopefully this opened up the door for a lot of things. And it would be so amazing if you guys kind of left some comments on whichever platform it is that you listen on, so that we can have a dialogue around this. And I may have to come back, and we may have to talk about this a little bit further. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a very beautiful day. And if you want to discuss some of these topics that are a little bit more fearful than others, then you make sure that you come over to aclive.co, sign up, and let's do the damn thing and get this stuff out of our system. It's a safe community for you to be able to express your opinions and begin to shape your message, and then put it out there on these other social media platforms and get it out there to the world. All right. Well, I love you. I'll talk to you later. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't.